School bus vehicle operations. Vehicle operations. Topics to be discussed: IDPE process, safe following distances, railroad crossings, reporting dangerous railroad crossings, right of way, passing, how to position your school bus, fuel economy and reduced idling. Driving a large school bus takes a great deal of skill and understanding of law and procedures relating to vehicle operation. To become professionals, school bus operators need to learn everything they can about the procedure and law that governs their driving tasks. Furthermore, the Florida State Board of Education requires school bus operators to possess knowledge of Florida statute and local ordinances to govern and control the operation of motor vehicles. In this unit, we will review some of the most important regulations to assist operators in their everyday tasks. Ignoring these laws and procedures could result in harm to operators and their passengers. IPDE. Identify the relevant clues. Predict their significance. Operators rely heavily on vision to guide their vehicles along the roadway. Safe and efficient driving, however, requires more than just seeing. It requires the ability to interpret what one sees and to take the appropriate action once the traffic situation has been correctly interpreted. Operators must develop a systematic method of seeing, interpreting, and responding to either changing traffic scene. One system is known as IDPE. The I stands for identify. Operators must be able to identify relevant clues. This involves more than just seeing. It includes interpreting or giving meaning to what is seen. To identify and interpret relevant clues, operators must know how to look, where to look, and what to look for. To identify hazards, operators must constantly search the traffic scene carefully. Quick glances should be taken all around the front and the sides and in the mirrors, both near and far. Since the traffic environment changes constantly, these glances must be taken continuously. The P stands for predict. Operators must be able to predict the significance of the relevant clues. Once a hazard in the driving environment has been identified, operators must predict how the hazard might affect their planned path of travel. Operators must ask themselves questions like, to avoid this hazard, must I speed up, slow down, turn to the right, or turn to the left? During this stage of the process, operators are interpreting the information they have identified and are judging where conflicts may occur. According to the Florida CDL manual, you can almost always turn to miss an obstacle more quickly than you can stop. IPDE. Decide what to do. Execute your decision. The D stands for decide. Operators must decide what to do now that they have identified a hazard and has predicted its effect on their path of travel. Nothing is more critical to safe driving than being able to make a timely, wise decision under these circumstances. The options available include: decide to change your speed by slowing down or speeding up. Decide to change directions or location by moving into some area of the space cushion around your bus. Decide to communicate your location and plans to surrounding traffic. E stands for execute. Operators now execute their decision. To carry out a decision or to avoid a conflict, operators must take more of the following actions: accelerate, brake, steer, communicate. Smith system. Aim high in steering. Keep your eyes moving. Get the big picture. Make sure others see you. Leave yourself and out. One orderly visual search pattern is known as the Smith system. This system involves 5 seeing habits. Aim high in steering. Look way ahead of your vehicle so you are aware of the complete traffic scene in front of your vehicle. Get the big picture. Put all the information together from the perspective so that you have a complete mental picture of the traffic environment around your vehicle. Keep your eyes moving. Use an orderly search pattern that involves glancing near and far to the front, sides, in the mirrors, and at the instrumental panel. Leave yourself and out. Never get boxed in. Always leave yourself an escape path. This means leave a space cushion all around your vehicle, to the front, rear, and on both sides. Make sure others see you. Communicate your intentions to other operators so you are sure they understand your plans. Following distances. Maintain legal following distance. Obey basic speed law. Allow 300 feet when following other buses outside of the city. Allow 100 feet between buses when leaving school grounds. Provide vehicle separation by time intervals. A number of guidelines and techniques are available to guide drivers in determining and maintaining a safe following distance. Legally, operators are required to maintain certain following distances. Road, weather, and lighting conditions have a lot to do with safe following distances. As conditions get worse, allowing more stopping distance is good defense driving. If someone is tailgating you, it is best practice to increase your following distance from the vehicles in front of you. That protects you from having to make a sudden stop and getting rammed from the rear. You can make a smoother, longer, more gradual stop with the added time, and that allows the tailgater to do the same. Legal following distance. The driver of a motor vehicle shall not follow another vehicle more closely than is reasonable and prudent, having due regard for the speed of such vehicles and the traffic upon and the condition of the highway. Section 316.0895 Florida statute. A copy of this law is in your participation handbook. Basic speed law. No person shall drive a vehicle on a highway at a speed greater than is responsible and prudent under the condition and having regard to the actual and potential hazard then existing. Section 316.183 Florida statute. When driving conditions are hazardous because of weather such as rain, snow, ice, sleet, dust, fog, smoke, or haze, when lighting is poor, or if you're being followed too closely, increase the following distance between yourself and the vehicle in front of you. This will allow you more time to come to a smooth, safe stop. That is it. A following distance you can count on. Try it. It works. Following another bus. It is unlawful for the driver of any motor truck drawing another vehicle, or vehicle towing another vehicle or trailer when traveling upon a roadway outside of a business or resident district to follow within 300 feet of another motor truck drawing another vehicle, or vehicle towing another vehicle or trailer. The provisions of this subsection shall not be construed to prevent overtaking and passing, nor shall the same apply upon any lanes specially designed for the use of motor trucks or other slow-moving vehicles. Section 316.089 Florida Statute. It is a good safety practice to maintain at least 100 feet between buses when leaving school grounds. Railroad crossing. Stop, look, listen. School bus train accidents are avoided through planned and executed safety procedure. For crossing railroad tracks. Crossing railroad tracks present one of the greatest school bus hazards so far as casualties and fatalities are concerned. Stop, look, and listen. All public school buses, loaded or unloaded, must stop at a railroad crossing. Learn these procedures and practice them until they become automatic actions. Failure to do so could mean no second chance. The requirements for stopping at a railroad crossing are contained in Section 316.159 Florida Statute. A copy of this law is in your participation handbook. It is the operator's responsibility to bring the bus to a stop at least 15 feet, but no more than 50 feet from the nearest rail of the railroad grade crossing. The operator shall not proceed across the tracks until after looking carefully in each direction, opening the door, and listening for the sound of an approaching train, and determining that it is safe to proceed. The bus door shall be closed after proceeding across the tracks and the railroad crossing. The operator should make sure that the windows are free of frost, dew, and other materials that could obscure the driver's vision of an approaching train. The details of the railroad grade crossing procedures are outlined in the slide that follows. Single track crossing. Deactivate the master switch at least 150 feet before the crossing and activate the four-way flashers. Stop no closer than 15 and no more than 50 feet away from the nearest rail. Shift to neutral and set the park brake. Observe. Ensure there is sufficient space beyond the furthest rail for the bus to completely clear the crossing. There may be an intersection, stop traffic, or any other potential obstructions after the crossing. Look. Open the service door and operator's window. Look both ways. Listen. Shut off noisy equipment and quiet passengers. Use the noise kill shutoff switch if equipped. Close the door. Start when it is safe in normal driving gear. Proceed and do not change gears or hesitate until across all tracks. Deactivate the hazard lights. Deactivate the noise shutoff switch and activate the master switch. The exceptions for stopping at a railroad crossing are contained in Section 316.159 Florida Statute. A copy of this law is in your participation handbook. The use of flares or the presence of a railroad flagman at the grade crossing should be taken as an additional warning of danger. Respond accordingly. Operators who stall on train tracks should evacuate the bus immediately and move away from the tracks. If the train is approaching, pedestrians should move well away from the tracks in the direction of the approaching train to avoid being hit by flying wreckage. Multi-track crossings. Determine whether you must stop for a second set of tracks. Make sure no train is approaching on any side of the tracks. After the train passes, wait until other tracks become visible before proceeding. Start when it is safe in normal driving gear. Proceed and do not change gears or hesitate until across all tracks. Determine whether you must stop for a second set of tracks. An operator must stop between the two sets of tracks if there is room for the bus plus at least 15 feet in front and behind the bus to the nearest track. This is approximately a 2 school bus space. Make sure no train is approaching from any direction on any side of the tracks. If there is an approaching train, wait until after the train passes and assure that all tracks are fully visible. Look in both directions. Listen and proceed only if you have made certain that no train is approaching. Don't take shortcuts in these procedures because conditions can and do change in a matter of seconds. Start when it is safe in normal driving gear. The expectations for stopping at a railroad crossing are contained in section 316.159 Florida statute. A copy of this law is in your participation handbook. The use of flares or the presence of a railroad flagman at a grade crossing should be taken as an additional warning of danger. Respond accordingly. Operators who stall on a train track should evacuate the bus immediately and move away from the tracks. If the train is approaching, pedestrians should move well away from the tracks in the direction of the approaching train to avoid being hit by flying wreckage. At double tracks, operators should never move forward until warning signals have stopped and they can see well down the tracks in both directions. Railroad crossing gates or barriers. Operators shall not drive a vehicle through, around, or under a crossing gate or barrier at a railroad crossing while the gate barrier is closed, being open, being closed. Reporting dangerous railroad crossings. Be sure a problem is reportable. Fill out form. Turn in report to your supervisor. The responsibilities of a school bus driver to report dangerous crossings are contained in Florida State Board of Education rules located in Chapter 6A-3 of the Florida Administrative Code. A copy of this rule is in your participation handbook. Operators are responsible for reporting dangerous railroad crossing situations. If they neglect to report problems, they miss the opportunity to help correct them. Operators should take the time to report these extremely hazardous conditions to their supervisor. Types of situations that should be identified are visual obstructions such as weeds, brush, or trees. Do not report buildings on a railroad right-of-way or railroad buildings which cannot be removed. Signal malfunctions, signals that are not operational, conditions of roadway at crossing, condition of track at crossing, switching operators on tracks where crossing is blocked for long periods of time, boxcars parked on tracks, limiting visibility, failure to train to give warning with whistle horn, late activation of railroad crossing guards and lights when trains approaching, problems with timing of traffic signals or train equipment storage locations at intersections that may be prevent the bus from proceeding all the way across the tracks. Operation Lifesaver. We're making communities safer. Help us do more. Education, enforcement, engineering. In recent years, statewide safety programs have been conducted to help reduce motor vehicle train collisions at railroad highway grade crossings. These programs have been very effective, but accidents continue to occur at an unacceptable rate. In cooperation with several state agencies, the National Safety Council, and the Railroads of Florida, the safety program known as Operation Lifesaver is offered. This is a positive year-round campaign proven to reduce grade crossing accidents. Operation Lifesaver stresses the 3 E's of highway safety. Education, to stimulate awareness of the crossing dangers. Enforcement of driving safety laws. Engineering, to improve warning devices and signals. We're making communities safer. The following slide presentation, Precious Cargo, highlights a number of problems and procedures for highway rail crossings. During the presentation, pay particular attention to the topics listed on this slide. Hazards of highway rail grade crossings, responsibilities and agencies and persons involved, cause of highway rail grade crossing accidents, reducing highway rail grade crossing accidents, state laws involving highway rail grade crossings, situations that cause unsafe conditions at railroad tracks, stalling on railroad tracks, danger of double tracks. Every time a railroad engineer takes a trip, he or she can expect 2 or more near misses or unsafe operations at railroad crossings. Bus operators occasionally forget to make their legal stop or are willing to gamble and take shortcuts with established safety procedures. Ordinary highway crashes result in about 1 fatality for every 36 persons involved. With a highway rail grade crossing, crashes result in 1 fatality for every 4 persons involved. Responsibilities. Railroad, to maintain crossing warning devices of a permanent nature, crossbucks, bells, flashing lights, and gates, and installation or cantilever as required by the Department of Transportation and state laws. Highway Department, to provide and maintain advance warning signals. Motorists, to obey warning devices each and every time they approach them. Reducing grade crossing accidents. Motorists must become familiar with the law. Motorists must be motivated to respect the law through strict law enforcement. Motorists must be familiar with hazards and must know how to avoid them. State laws. The operator shall not stop within 50 feet but not less than 15 feet from the nearest rail of the railroad. School buses must stop at all highway rail grade crossings. Flashing red lights at highway rail grade crossings require motorists to stop and remain stopped until it is safe to proceed. Unsafe operators at railroad crossings. The operator who has a heavy foot and drives too fast for conditions. The daydreamer who does not pay attention. In about 1 out of every 3 highway rail grade crossing accidents, the motorist runs into a train. The operator who overdrives his or her headlights. The operator who is traveling at a speed which will not allow adequate reaction time to objects as they become illuminated by the headlights. The operator who is overly tired and dozes at the wheel. The operator who has become complacent and thinks he or she knows when the train will be coming. Anytime is train time. The impatient operator who drives around the gates. The follow the leader operator who does not look before crossing the train tracks. Operators should never drive onto tracks unless they can see for themselves that the track is clear. Right-of-way situations. Intersections. Vehicles already in intersection approaching at approximately the same time when facing yield, stop, or merge sign. Emergency vehicles, funeral processions, traffic control signals, turning left, entering highway from alley, private road, or driveway. There are many types of right-of-way situations that may be encountered. All of them are important to a school bus operator because accidents occur when operators fail to react correctly. Knowing and observing these right-of-way rules critical to helping other operators maintain an accident-free driving record. More importantly, to ensure the safety of their passengers. Florida law does not specify who has the right-of-way. The law specifies who must yield under given circumstances. Section 316-123 of the Florida statute addresses a vehicle entering a stop or yield intersection. Section 316.126 Florida statute addresses the operation of vehicles and actions of pedestrians on approaching an authorized emergency vehicle. Section 316.1974 Florida statute addresses funeral processions, right-of-way, and liability. A copy of these rules are in your participation handbook. It has been ruled that an emergency vehicle can pass a stopped school bus when it is displaying its alternating flashing red lights, provided it is in a life-threatening situation and goes by safely. Students should be instructed of this situation, and if the situation ever arises, operators should, if at all possible, keep the students in the bus with the doors closed. Driving left of center permitted. When overtaking another vehicle moving in the same direction and safe to do so. When right lane is closed to traffic after yielding to oncoming traffic. When roadways have 2 or more lanes moving in the same direction. One-way roadways. Multi-lane, two-way roadways. Passing can be an extremely hazardous movement. Laws concerning this movement have been designed to minimize the risk to the greatest extent possible. Operators should pay particular attention to these laws and should never pass unless they are absolutely certain that the maneuver can be completed safely. Maneuvering a large piece of equipment such as a school bus can present some problems in this situation that require skillful maneuvering. Most beginning drivers are not aware of the limitations of the bus. It is extremely important that a beginning bus operator master the more difficult maneuvers. Passing on left prohibited. When left lane is not clearly visible or free of oncoming traffic for sufficient distance to pass without interfering with the safe movement of oncoming vehicles or vehicles being passed. When approaching crest of hill or on a curve when there is insufficient sight distance. Within 100 feet of an intersection, railroad crossing, or bridge. When there are traffic control devices, signs, or markings prohibiting passing. Solid yellow line in your lane. Do not pass. Signs are posted. Sections 316.082, 316.083, 316.084 of the Florida statute. Passing on right permitted. When a vehicle being overtaken is making or about to make a left turn, and when there are two or more lanes of traffic moving in the same direction, or when on a one-way street where there are two or more lanes of traffic moving in the same direction. Section 316.084 Florida statute. Passing on right prohibited. When the driver must drive off the pavement or main travel portion of the roadway. Section 316.084 Florida statute.
Bus leaving a parking space. This slide illustrates a bus leaving the parking place where the school bus has to make a short turn to the right with a curb or some other object close in front of the bus. The bus should be turned to the left and then backed up, putting the bus closer to the bus on the right. This allows more turning radius, allowing room for the overhang beyond the back wheels of the bus, so it will not strike the other bus. Mirror adjustment, right side, left side. The use of mirrors and the proper adjustment is one of the most important parts of operating a school bus safely. Much can be said about the proper use of the mirrors, but the main thing is to use them. This means checking your mirrors constantly. Left and right side flat mirrors. These mirrors are mounted at the left and right front corners of the bus, at the side, or in front of the windshield. They are used to monitor traffic and check clearances and students on the side and to the rear of the bus. There is a blind spot immediately below and in front of each mirror and directly in back of the rear bumper. The blind spot behind the bus could extend up to 400 feet, depending on the width of the bus. Ensure that the mirrors are properly adjusted so you can see 200 feet or 4 bus lengths behind the bus, along the sides of the bus, and the rear tires touching the ground. Left and right side convex mirrors. These convex mirrors are located below the outside flat mirrors. They are used to monitor the left and right sides of an angle. They provide a view of traffic, clearances, and students at the side of the bus. These mirrors present a view of people and objects that does not accurately reflect their size and distance from the bus. Ensure that the mirrors are properly adjusted so you can see the entire side of the bus up to the mirror mounts, front of the mirror, rear tires touching the ground, and at least one traffic lane on the either side of the bus. Outside left and right side cross view mirrors. These mirrors are mounted on both left and right front corners of the bus. They are used to see the danger zone area directly in front of the bus that is not visible by direct vision, and to view the danger zone areas to the left side and right sides of the bus, including the service door and front wheel areas. The mirror presents a view of people and objects that does not accurately reflect their size and distance from the bus. The driver must ensure that these mirrors are properly adjusted. Ensure that the mirrors are properly adjusted so you can see the entire area in front of the bus from the bumper at ground level to a point where direct vision is possible. Direct vision and mirror view vision should overlap. The mirror view, indirect view area may extend as much as 18 to 20 feet forward from the front bumper. The right and left front tires touching the ground. The area from the right front of the bus to the service door area. These mirrors, along with the convex and flat mirrors, should be viewed in a logical sequence to ensure that a child or object is not in any of the danger zones. This mirror, the overhead inside rear view mirror, is mounted directly above the windshield in the driver's compartment area of the bus. This mirror is used to monitor passenger activity inside the bus. It may provide limited visibility directly in back of the bus if the bus is equipped with a glass-bottomed rear emergency door. There is a blind spot area directly behind the driver's seat, as well as a large spot that begins at the rear bumper and could extend up to 400 feet or more behind the bus. You must use the exterior side mirrors to monitor traffic that approaches and enters this area behind and beside the bus. Ensure that the interior mirror is properly adjusted so you can see the top of the rear window in the top of the mirror, all the students, including the heads of the students right behind you. View obstruction. Proper use of mirrors is critical to safe driving, but operators should also be aware of hazards posed by objects that can block their view of other motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians. View obstructions can include the bus mirror themselves, bus corner posts, improperly placed bus route signs, brooms, misadjusted visor, or other objects, signs, vehicles, or other objects outside the bus. Avoiding view obstructions. To avoid the hazard of falling to see moving vehicles, pedestrians, or other hazards due to view obstructions, the bus operator must ensure there are no unauthorized items blocking the windshield, side windows, or door glass. Ensure windshield wipers are in good condition and operating properly. Move forward, backward, and side to side in the seat as needed to see everything around and approaching the bus, especially all intersections. Be aware that the greatest hazard posed by view obstruction is not seeing other vehicles or pedestrians approaching the bus from the left or the right. Right turn with yield sign and acceleration sign. There are two important considerations in approaching a yield sign with an acceleration sign. Number one, check your mirrors when maneuvering into the proper lane. These lanes are designed to allow buses to stay within the markings. Do not leave the back of the bus in the lane of traffic. Number two, where there is an acceleration lane, you do not have to stop. Be careful and proceed only when the traffic permits. Right turn with yield sign. Approaching a yield sign where there is no acceleration lane. In order to make this stop safely, you must maneuver the bus completely into the proper lane. Do not leave your bus sitting across the line with the drivers behind the bus, not knowing if you are going to stop. Many operators will not expect you to stop. They will be watching the oncoming traffic, so be alert. Correct position for right turn into two-lane traffic going in same direction. Most of the time, you will find that the traffic moves faster on four-lane roads. In order to make a right turn in this situation, you need to begin to position your bus before you reach the corner. As you approach, turn the front of the bus to the left out to the over center lane. This will enable you to turn the bus without getting too far into the other lane of traffic. Use your mirrors. Correct position for tight right turn. Always stop approximate 1/2 bus length before reaching crosswalk. If you cannot complete the turn without swinging the school bus into another lane, turn wide as you complete the turn. Keep the rear of your bus close to the curb. This will stop other operators from passing you on the right. If you must cross into the oncoming lane to make a turn, watch out for vehicles coming toward you and give them room to go by or stop. However, do not back up for them because you might hit someone behind you. By leading to right turn is completed in correct lane. A proper left turn. Position your bus straight in the right lane and stop at the corner or the proper place. As you enter the intersection, steer to the right. Usually about 1/4 turn of the steering wheel is enough. Then turn the wheel sharply to the left. This will enable you to turn your bus into the inside lane. Complete your turn in the left inside lane of the roadway you are entering. Move to the right lane when safe to do so. Correct position for tight left turn, approximately 100 feet. Use left turn signal. Always activate your turn signals at least 100 feet prior to a turn. For tight left turns, before you get to the corner, pull your bus close to a center line and turn the front of the bus toward the curb. Be sure that when you stop, the front wheels of the bus are straight with the roadway. This will position your bus to make a proper left turn. If you turn too soon, the left side of your bus may hit another vehicle due to off trafficking. Left turn into a multi-lane, check right mirrors immediately. After turn is completed, proceed to right lane. Making a left turn into a multi-road, you must turn your left turn signal on at least 100 feet prior to the corner. Be sure you use the proper lane. Do not leave the back of your bus sticking out into the other lane after you making your stop. When it is clear, proceed until straight in front of you in the bus just past the center of the two lanes. Then turn sharply to the left into the lane. Stay in the left lane until you are sure, by checking your mirrors, that the right lane is clear. Then pull into the right lane and proceed. Use your mirrors. Explain proper maneuver and use of mirrors. Unless you have to use the drop-off lane, stay in the lane you are traveling in. Be sure you use your mirrors as you enter and leave this area. Cars trying to pass you in this area on both sides present a serious hazard. Never pull too close behind another vehicle that is stopped in your traffic lane. Stay back so you can see and pass the vehicle without forcing anyone else off the road and without having to back up. This slide illustrates the dangers involved when a school bus blocks the view of another vehicle. As this diagram shows, once you have stopped and are waiting for the vehicle in front of you to turn, you have blocked the view of the vehicle in back. The vehicle that is coming toward you continues on its path, and a vehicle behind you may start to pass, not seeing the vehicle that is waiting to turn. This could result in an accident. Stay to the right of your lane so you will not block the view of the vehicles behind you. Parking lane. Think. Use caution when entering intersection with traffic light. Reduce speed before entering into the intersection, even with a green traffic light. Be aware of the length of your school bus. Do not cross a divided highway for a left turn until you can cross all lanes safely. Fuel conservation techniques. Limit warm-up time. Reduce or eliminate prolonged idling. Start and stop smoothly. Do not top off fuel tank. Allow room for expansion. Maintain correct tire pressure. Maintain smooth and steady driving, acceleration, and braking. Fuel prices have increased substantially in the past several years. This has greatly added to the cost of transporting students to and from school by school bus. It is imperative that operators do everything possible to conserve as much fuel as possible to help keep these costs down. Failure to do so wastes money for the school district. Saving fuel also reduces diesel emissions and improves air quality and public health. When filling the fuel tank, allow for expansion. Fuel is often stored underground where it is cold. When the cold fuel hits the warm air, it expands. If you fill your tank right to the top on a hot day, the expanding fuel will run out of the overflow pipe onto the ground. You will get 0 miles per gallon out of the fuel that has leaked out onto the ground. Operators should immediately report any bulging or sagging tires to the garage personnel for service. Low air pressure in tires causes resistance, and it takes more power and fuel to overcome this resistance. For fuel efficiency, tires should always be kept at proper pressure within the manufacturer's specifications. A school bus operator should maintain smooth and steady driving and try to maintain a constant speed. It does not take much fuel to maintain speed, but it takes a lot to increase speed. The most fuel efficient way to drive is at a steady speed. Avoid changes in acceleration or braking when necessary. School bus operators should reduce engine idling as much as possible. It is a myth that diesel engines will last longer when they are kept running while parked. Reducing idling to a minimum without endangering students who may require air conditioning for medical reasons will improve air quality, reduce fuel usage, and improve children's health. Summary: we reviewed IDPE process, safe following distances, railroad crossings, reporting dangerous railroad crossings, right-of-way, passing, how to position your school bus, and fuel economy and reducing idling.